The New Mutants is loaded with X-Men Easter eggs and moments from comics, but it also made some changes from the books and left X-Universe threads that we will probably never see fulfilled.
This isn't the hospital. It's a cage.
What's up, Comic Book Nation? BD here, and now that The New Mutants is playing in theaters, finally, we can recap the Easter eggs and ties to the larger X-Men universe, as well as the sequel plans, which were definitely not very subtle in this movie. We're never going to see a sequel to this since Disney bought Fox, and we'll be hitting the reset button on all of the mutant characters, so we've been able to get the inside scoop on what a trilogy would have been. Warning, major spoilers for The New Mutants follow. The New Mutants is based on Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz's Demon Bear comic from 1983. In the books, the New Mutants characters are much more familiar with their mutant abilities by the time Demon Bear comes to town, but Moonstar, Cannonball, Sunspot, Magic, and Wolfsbane are all very much a part of that story. Magma doesn't make the cut in the adaptation, nor do cameos from characters like Professor X or the Starjammers, but those absences are replaced with newcomer Dr. Cecilia Reyes, who didn't play a part in the comics, but for some reason is tasked with maintaining 5 powerful and erratic young mutants totally on her own.
It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Man.
Dr. Reyes has the kids convinced that she is essentially training them to be X-Men, so one might assume when she refers to her boss and the place they can move on to, she's talking about Professor X and his school for gifted youngsters. That's what Sunspot thinks, and he says so while rolling around in a wheelchair, which is another reference to Charles Xavier in itself. Reyes is working for the Essex Corporation, though. This is a group run by Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister, aka the biggest villain we never got in X-Men movies. The good news is that Marvel Studios apparently hates using villains that have been used in other movies before, if the Spider-Man movies are any indication, so maybe Mr. Sinister will make his way to the MCU since he didn't pop up here. Mr. Sinister has been teased in previous X-Men films like X-Men Apocalypse. In Apocalypse's post-credit scene, we saw that blood samples had been taken from the Weapon X version of Wolverine to try to manufacture more creatures like him. This later resulted in Laura Kinney, aka X-23, who we saw in Logan, and the New Mutants looked like it might have tied itself to the facility where all of the kids from Logan had been locked down and experimented on. When Moonstar connects with the demons of this facility, she sees what looks like the same sort of scenes from Logan where young mutants are trying to be molded into weapons and experimented on. Once upon a time, X-Men producers Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg said that there were plans for Mr. Sinister to appear in Wolverine 3, the movie that ended up being Logan, and director James Mangold rejected all of that, so it's possible that back when Josh Boone was making the New Mutants about 900 years ago in 2017, the plan for an eventual Mr. Sinister was definitely on the table. It's very clear that Nathaniel Essex is out there in this world too. The pin on Cecilia Reyes' jacket is a clear nod to the red diamond seen on Mr. Sinister's head in comics. As for those sequel plans, which would have been a trilogy starting with the New Mutants, director Josh Boone had epic ideas for what could have been.
What we sold to Fox was really a comic book Nate and I had made that showed what all 3 films would be. So it's like the first one was always a rubber reality horror movie based on Demon Bear. The second one was always an alien invasion movie based on Warlock and his dad coming to Earth and all that. And then the third one was going to be Inferno and be more of like a demonic supernatural horror movie that finally crossed over with the X-Men movies like it does in the comics for Inferno and all that. That was sort of the dream.
There are additional nods to the Demon Bear comic as well, like the new artwork during the end credits scene designed by original artist Bill Sienkiewicz's. More examples, being trapped in a cold, wintry limbo is something which happens to the mutants fighting the Demon Bear in the comics, and defeating Demon Bear does lead to a warm summer day. Plus, the southern accent they forced Charlie Heaton to struggle with as Cannonball was a move designed to keep his dialect accurate to how Claremont wrote it for Sam Guthrie in the comics. Danny Moonstar also spends a big part of the story unconscious. In the book, Danny goes head-to-head with the Demon Bear early and loses, and the doctors around her are actually trying to revive her, not kill her like Dr. Reyes was. The relationship with Wolfsbane does play a key role nonetheless, as a psychic bit of communication is ultimately what helps the New Mutants in the big win, more so than being a romantic plot point for everyone to root for everyone to survive. When the New Mutants do win and defeat the Demon Bear, it isn't any sort of It Chapter 2 Pennywise deal where you just have to get over your fears. Magic is the one who uses her soul sword to slice the Demon Bear in half and free the spirits who were trapped inside of this demon, including Moonstar's parents. When all is said and done, X-Men hero Storm brings in Healer to rescue Danny Moonstar from her injuries, which had led to paralysis. We did get to see Lockheed in action, and this is a reference to Illyana Rasputin's family tree. Illyana is the sister of other X-Men character Colossus, a character we've seen recently in Deadpool movies, and Colossus dates Kitty Pryde. Most often, Lockheed is Kitty Pryde's pet dragon, so we can assume Magic's relationship with Lockheed in the New Mutants comes from spending time with Kitty and Colossus off-screen. Director Josh Boone tells me there was an idea to bring Colossus into a flashback sequence, but that was cut before it was shot. While there were lots of numbers on the gravestones, trust me, I googled all of them. One gravestone in the movie was number 138, a reference to the New Mutants, Volume 1, issue number 38. On its cover, none other than a New Mutants graveyard. Well played. At the end of the day, the New Mutants followed the overall structure of the Demon Bear comic, but ultimately told its own story with clear plans for future expansions. Get it? Expansion. That we're never gonna see. What Easter eggs and references did you catch while watching the New Mutants? Share your thoughts in the comment section or send them my way on Instagram at BrandonDavisBD, and head over to Comicbook.com/Marvel for more updates. I'm BD, I'll see you there.